single day I'm gonna make something great. That's my way. Every single day I'm gonna make something great. That's my way.
Hey there, Cerise here. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to Storytime from Sosua Shores. Guys, this story comes to me from a woman that is native Dominican, and she's a maid here. She's been working with the same couple for 15 years. She started to work with them when they first came to the Dominican Republic. So let's do the backdrop on them. Very wealthy family. They came here for business. They live in Cabarete. Cabarete is a beach town just outside of Sosua, about 15 minutes away. So this woman, she stayed with them. Now, where they live in Cabarete, it is one of the parts where it's off on a lagoon, all on its own. Very beautiful, private area. Okay, so let's name these people Presley and Priscilla. All right. So she started to work for Presley and Priscilla about 15 years ago. And she was at first just cleaning their villa for them, helping them out around the house. And eventually they decided that they were going to move here full time and not just 6 months out of the year. So once they moved here full time, the maid, let's give her a name. Let's call her Elsie. Not Elsa. Elsa's my good friend. Elsie. So Elsie goes and she's working for them. She loves how they live. She loves how they treat her. They are so kind all the time. She meets all their family throughout 15 years. Well, she met what she thought was their family. In 15 years, she met a lot of friends and she had what she thought was the best job in the whole world. Well, now she has a problem with it. She has a huge issue with her job. She's a Christian woman. She's a little older than them by 20 years. And they are not right now, they got married when they're about 25. Well, she thought they got married when they're 25. So now they're in their 40s. And she is in her 60s. So she really loves this couple. But this is what happened. So she thought she met their parents. There is a couple that they call mom and dad, and there's another couple that they call mom and dad. This pair that she works for, this couple that she works for. So she thought that she met their mom and dad, but it wasn't their mom and dad. She found out recently. She found out a deep, dark family secret. And she wants to confront Priscilla and Presley. She wants to ask them why they've been keeping such a dark secret from her. I told her it's probably none of her business and she should just go to work and mind her business and go home. She says right now, during the time of what's going on in the world, it's very difficult for her to handle the situation because she's not able to leave the villa and go home. She's been with them under their thumb for every waking thing that they need, every necessity. So she feels like she needs to get out of there. She's been working with them for 15 years. So if she quits, she will pretty much just have to go get another job. If they let her go, they have to give her a severance package. They have to give her a very good severance package. After she's there for so many years, they have to give her a package based upon how many years she worked there. So I said to her, if you can't handle the heat, then maybe you should get out of the kitchen. When you're hired for a job, she says to me, when you're hired for a job, the job should be given to you in a way where it's on a platter and you know all your duties and everything that you're doing. And I said, yeah. And she's like, well, this was not clear to her. And I said, but after 15 years, you make the job what it is. it becomes your position. You're not just working a position. That position becomes yours. After 15 years, nobody can work the position like you. What were they lying to you about? And she told me. So recently, they've been doing some cleaning, and they've been cleaning out a lot of the extra rooms, the boxes, and Priscilla is getting rid of a lot of old junk. She wants to now prepare for moving back to where they came from. And I'm not able to say the country because Elsie asked me to keep the country confidential. Like you guys know how I do it. All the names are confidential. So Elsie is helping Priscilla pack up boxes and everything of that nature and go through things. And then Priscilla goes in to get some groceries. She leaves the villa for a minute before the curfew, and she lets Elsie go through the boxes on her own. Elsie went through the boxes on her own so quickly that she went and she opened up another box. She just thought she would continue to go through the boxes. She knew what was good and what wasn't good and everything of that nature. So when she went through that box, she started to see photos and photo albums. And she went inside the photo album because she loves photos. You know, who doesn't like a good photo? And she was looking at the good old-fashioned photo album, and she saw from the beginning 2 children. Now, these children looked to be like the same age, almost the same, like the same height and stuff of that nature. And so as she started to flip through the album, she realized that these were her employers as kids, husband and wife, but with the same parents. Yeah. What does that mean? Brother and sister. So they always had the same last name. She knew that. And she was saying to herself, and one day the father, she heard the husband on the phone talking to what he considered his father. And he's like, yeah, one day maybe we'll get married. One day maybe, Dad, we'll get married. We don't know yet. So clearly whoever he was talking to on the phone calling Dad didn't know that his lover is his sister. Elsie said to me when she heard him say that they were not married, she wondered how they had the same last name. The same last name is very long. She said it's a very long last name, very difficult to pronounce and very difficult to spell. There's a lot of the same letters in it, and it doesn't sound the way it's spelled, and it's not spelled the way it sounds, she said. So she was really surprised that they weren't married because they both have the same last name. But she never really asked them anything after that. She really just said to the husband one day, I heard you on the phone saying you guys aren't married. Why don't you guys get married? You know, and that was all. And he's like, oh, one day. Well, she was starting to put 2 and 2 together as she was going through this photo album. And she realized that these employers of hers are not only lovers, they're not only siblings, they are twins. Yes, twins and lovers. So now she decides that she's going to talk to them about it. And so what she decided, when the wife got home, the wife went in and she went into the spare room and she's like, oh, Elsie, you're finished everything. Elsie's like, yeah. And she's like, oh, and she's like, oh, did you go through this box? Elsie's like, yeah, I went through that box. And Elsie didn't know how to tell the wife of what she's seen. She didn't know how to bring it up. So she waited for the wife to explain things to her. And then Elsie said to her, she's like, how come you guys never had any children? And the wife looked at her and said, whoa, that's a pretty blunt question. Like, we just didn't want any children. And Elsie said, why? Were you afraid that they were going to maybe come out unhealthy? And I said, why did you ask her those questions? Elsie told me that she asked that because she knows that when siblings have babies, sometimes have babies together, sometimes they come out a little bit Down syndrome or something of that nature. Well, she was trying to get to the bottom of it. And the wife was just like, oh, we're not in it. We're not interested in having children. We're just interested in being with each other. We love each other deeply, and we've loved each other for so long. We don't even want to be around anyone else. We just want our time for ourselves. And Elsie was thinking to herself, that's a lie. They would have a child if they could, but they can't. And they can't get married either. And, she was just beside herself. And she said to me, Cerise, I need to get to the bottom of this. I need to speak to them. I need to get truth. And she told me she feels that it's unethical. It's not right. That God is watching, and that the two are very dirty. Well, she found out that the two of them are brother and sister. Of course. She is in a daze. She doesn't even know what to do right now. She said that every time she hears them kiss, every time she hears them hug, she's always so turned off, and she's always so shocked that the two of them could be so close and not have any morals or ethics. Well, I said to her, you really don't know what their childhood is like, and you really don't know what they went through in life. You don't know what people have experienced. And so it's not really about judging them. And she's not there to do anything else except cook and clean. She's not there to be their mother. She's not there to be their best friend. She's not there to regulate their lives. I understand that it is probably a very uncomfortable situation to be in because it's so taboo and so abnormal. But I did a little research on it on the internet myself before I made this story, just to see how believable this is. And there's actually a thing out there in the world, twins and lovers. And there's a lot of twins that become lovers. Guy twins that aren't gay. They're not gay at all, but they just decided to be in love with each other. Twins that have and they tell their story on the internet. And there are twins that have spent all their life together. They're virgins. They've never had sex with anyone else, but they're intimate with each other. So when we look at things at the end of the day, when it comes to people and their relationships and people, who we work for, it's really none of our business unless they ask us for our opinion. Now, she was not supposed to even go in that box, and she's not supposed to even know the private information. Employers are not always going to talk about their private information with an employee. When an employee is hired to do something in someone's house, to clean and cook, they're not hired to go in the bedroom and keep an eye on the people's love life and regulate who they should be talking to and who they shouldn't be talking to or making love to. I told her this is not a cool thing for her to have to worry about, but at the same time, she's putting herself through it. She really has two choices: stay and accept the circumstances, or leave and get her severance package. I'm pretty sure if she confronted them, they would have her leave anyway, because it's none of her business. They would have told her that family secret if they wanted her to know. So she said to me, Cerise, I really want some of the opinions from your viewers, because she listened to a story the other day where a guy was with a woman that seemed like she was using him. And you guys came back and you guys were all over it. Like, wow, you guys had his back like nothing else. And it was so amazing. And yeah, he broke up with the girl, but he's still going to help her out with her business. But that's another story. With this story, Elsie is more worried about how it's going to reflect on her and her state of mind. Already she's affected by it negatively, and she's feeling really low down and evil. She feels like she's taken part in some type of an evil plan that should not be happening. She feels like God revealed the truth to her so she could leave. And, really, the truth was revealed to her. Perhaps it's just so she could know, and that's it. Perhaps there's nothing that she needs to do with it. Perhaps she just needs to say, okay, no one's perfect. This is a couple that fell in love with each other, and That's it. She's not sleeping with them. She's not doing anything except, like I said, cooking and cleaning for them. But she wants advice from you guys. She wants to know, should she quit her job or should she keep her job? Now, with the times being so uncertain right now, and the world being how it is right now, I think it's really important for her to at least hold off, because she doesn't know what job she's going to be able to get when all this is finished. And, she won't have to live with them any longer after the 17th of May. 17th of May, she gets to go back to her house and then just return to them every single day like she was before. So if she can just hold it down for another 2 weeks, I think she'll be fine. And aside from that, what she says is she's an older woman now in her 60s, and she's a church-going woman, and she loves her life, and she loves God, and she doesn't want God to be mad at her. And she doesn't want, if this gets out from anyone, finds out, she doesn't want anyone to feel like she knew the whole time and she was keeping that secret. She feels embarrassed for them, and she feels embarrassed for herself. So I'm asking you guys, give her some tips. I know this is not one of my regular stories and it's not as long, but give her some tips. Let her know exactly, how you feel. And I understand where she's coming from completely. It must be a very uncomfortable situation to be in when you see twins kissing each other and stuff, brother and sister. But at the same time, when you can love beyond gender, you can love beyond reality, and you can just be in your own world, I think that's when comfort sets in, or, and that's what happened to them. They just got comfortable with their situation, and they didn't think anyone was going to find out. The wife did ask her what she saw in the box. The wife said, "Oh, what did you see in the box?" The wife did open the box up and look at it and looked at it and saw that it was organized, but she didn't open up the photo album. Elsie said that the woman didn't even open up the photo album to see anything. She just went, "Oh, okay, you organized this one too. All right." And that was it. I think the woman was playing dumb. I think she was like, "Oh, Elsie might not have noticed, and if she doesn't bring it to her attention, then she's not going to say anything to Elsie." And I think that's really what it came down to. She just doesn't want to say anything. And, so Elsie said that she is about to say something in the next few days. She feels like it's important for her to speak up for herself because she feels like she's working in the twilight zone. And I'm like, well, at least you have a job and you're working, and, perhaps you just got to get some advice from the rest of the people out there. So guys, please fill up this comment box with all your advice to her and support, and also, like always, keep it real. And imagine you're working for a couple for 15 years and you find out that they're brother and sister. That's got to be a shock and a half, eh? Like, really. So at the same time, though, when you do find out shocking things of your employer's lifestyle and everything, I don't think it's really up to the employee to say, "Oh, your life needs to be regulated." I think it's up to the employee to say, okay, do they want to continue working there or leave? You can't regulate other people's lives when it comes down to it. I'm a soul coach, and people pay me to give them advice on their life situations, on their health, their wealth, their finances, their relationships, their work, their everything, their family, friends, everything. And sometimes they don't take my advice and they pay for it. And it's not for me to regulate their life, because God knows my life is not perfect as well. It's just so they could have support from me and a sounding board and maybe some advice that can really change their life. But sometimes the people don't take the advice. So it's not up to us to run people's lives or regulate people's lives. It's just up to us to, kind of accept their lives. And if we can't accept their lives, then we separate from them. And I can't say it as much any longer. My opinion is she needs to either suck it up, Buttercup, or head on out there like Speedy Gonzales. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Cerise here from CeriseFairfax.com. I also have a website with stories that are written from a few years ago, and that's called www.story-time-again at .blogspot or .blogspot.com. There we go. Sorry about that. I'm going to say it again. www.story-time-again.blogspot.com. And there's a lot of written stories there. They're not audios, so you have to read them, but they are confessions from people that did really bad things to other people, and they just wanted to get it off their chest. Soon I'm going to be reading some of those as well, just to kind of give a variety. So if you guys have any stories, even if they're not from here, the Dominican Republic, and they're all around from the world, you can definitely send me stories. I'm opening up the platform to everyone that has a story, whether it's about work, whether it's about health, whether it's about financial advice for everyone. No matter what it is, it doesn't have to be something raunchy. It can be a story that's shocking, or it can be a story that's soothing. Alrighty guys, again, thank you so much for joining me. You can send your stories to you can send your stories to 829-702-7726. Alrighty, and you can also hit me up on my email at cerisefairfax@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and thank you for liking this video, because it lets me know exactly what videos you want. Take care, everyone.
Every single day